Welcome back to this week's episode of Coaches and Coffee. Good morning, Wizard and Professor.
Good morning.
Good morning. Your voice is all messed up this morning. Did you just get up?
Oh, I have been up. You saw the text message at 5:15.
He's been fighting a fire all night long with no mask.
Sorry, just a little gravelly this morning.
Yeah.
That's all right. You're going to sound sexy as hell this morning. We're all ready.
Hey, well, as long as you guys are ready, we're going to get this thing started. So we're going to throw it to you, Wizard, for your...
No. I always get to do corrections and stuff in the morning first. Like,
We're
not jumping to the Wizard. He's all gung-ho. Let's just hold him off for one more second. So that it's going to be incredible when he finally delivers. I had a correction on our GOAT debate.
Okay.
For the last week, with the biggest draft bust of all time.
Yep.
So one of my buddies sent me his top 198 list. And it was
That's a little excessive.
Well, it was pretty simple. Every single person picked before Brady.
Oh, Jesus.
Give me a freaking break.
Yeah, that's a joke.
Yeah.
That's a joke. And before I throw it back to the Wizard, just so everybody knows on this podcast, this is live and unfiltered. There's no retakes. So when we screw up, but we just keep going. So that's the first screw up of the morning.
It's just because we've got a Dolphins fan, which will lead us into the, our end debate here, and a Steelers fan. I've got a little respect for the Steelers. They were a program that, actually turned out some pretty good teams. Miami's got one season, and you weren't even alive in 1972. I just don't get it. But go ahead.
Yeah.
All right, Wizard, take it away.
Well, just so you know, this is before your date of birth, so
here we go.
At least I assume. But, it doesn't take much for a crow to shit you out on the rocks and the sun to hatch you. So
he's going to spend the next 20 minutes thinking about that. We're not going to get anything out of it.
I thought I would do something historical, and if this is something that I remember, and I didn't remember the date, but actually on this date in history, Skylab fell from the sky and went all over some country. I don't know. It might have been Australia, but I can remember thinking as a child that, boy, I hope Skylab doesn't fall on me. But Skylab fell from the sky on this date in history.
Wow.
Everything always lands in Australia, too.
Yeah.
Gravitational pull.
I don't know. I believe it did.
I think you're right. I remember the same thing. I remember going outside after that happened, and you'd look up about every week going, oh, God, I hope that doesn't happen. Yep. Mags is like, what's Skylab?
It was before my time. I shouldn't know these things.
And it's my turn, right?
Yeah.
I do the corrections in the morning, and that was mostly just to harass you guys about how great Tom Brady was. But we get some feedback, and you and I keep saying we wish that they would do it on our posts because it's awesome to get feedback that everybody can see. But I get feedback, and one of the really good feedbacks was, okay, you guys have shit on AAU and all this other stuff that we're trying to get our kids to be better. What can we do? What can we really do? And I have this 5-minute video that I send everybody who asks me that question, and it's just a 5-minute dribbling video. I'm not going to plug it, even though the guy that does it on YouTube would really probably appreciate it. But he's a young dude, and for 5 minutes, he asks you to dribble. Any kid that's done that for 5 minutes every single day, talking about no commitment at all, right? 5 minutes. Yeah. I mean, we bullshitted for 10 minutes before we even started this thing this morning. I could have done the dribbling twice. Go do that, and you will improve your game to the point where you can make varsity. That's it.
Right. With both hands now, not just one hand.
Yeah, no, the video is amazing, and it's really good, and it's really easy, and all you have to do is just do it over and over and over again. Maybe next week we'll actually plug that video for the guy that does it.
Oh, that's a good idea. Maybe you can demonstrate for 5 minutes dribbling.
I can definitely do that on this. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody will see it. It'll be perfect.
Wait, I'm going to do a couple minutes. Ready? There you go.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, with that, top 198 crap, Tom Brady is Tom Brady, and you won't hear me say too much bad stuff about him, so I won't, even though he's a cheater. Anyways,
In a draft, I would still take Patrick Mahomes ahead of him, but
yeah, I'd still take Dan Marino, but who am I counting?
I don't know about that.
Well, we don't always agree.
We're on the GOAT debate of the greatest football players, and we're not even doing that as a GOAT debate. That's one debate we're not ever going to have because you guys are going to look like fools. But do you have the whole thing here is your monologue. Do you have a monologue for us, or are you just going to rail on Tom Brady?
No, I mean, I had a couple different things. I like the
You get one.
Well, I know I had to pick one, and I'm just going to talk about the World Cup again. And it's funny seeing the responses of people and how the United States failed. First off, we're not a soccer country. We struggled to compete with the European and South American countries, and yet all you saw after the game was how the team choked. And I think it goes back to one of our episodes about how hard it is to win a championship. Well, it's really hard when it's not your sport as a country. And I think the nation would have been happy the fact that we won one knockout game, and we won the most games in any World Cup for the United States. But again, success is only measured on winning it all, and we're just not realistic when it comes to that. So that's it. That's all I got.
That's fair too.
Well, I'm sure some of our listeners would come on and tell us how easy it is to win championships because they won, many of them or whatever. But we won't go down that rabbit hole yet this morning. So, all right. So this episode, we mentioned it last week. We're going to talk about some unwritten rules that we feel as coaches should be mentioned, and we're not going to all agree on this, which should make this fun. So, Professor, do you want to go through the list? Do you want to start with number one?
Well, I think we've talked about this pretty much since we started this podcast, and we kind of touch on some of them. But last week we were talking about, I think it was last week, about the decency to go down and speak to the coach beforehand, or handshakes at the end, even if the outcome wasn't what you wanted, or you giving us crap for me and the Wizard giving a big hug because we both knew we were retiring and we played a great game and we played the last game of that year. So we got into these unwritten rules, and I think the one question I have for the both of you before we really get into it is, we've all been really successful, right? And the Wizard is notorious for beating teams, 137-4 and stuff like that. Do you think that the other coaches, the ones that have our losing percentage as their winning percentage, do you think that they have a different list of unwritten rules?
I would imagine they probably do.
Yeah, they probably, instead of looking at it from the perspective of that coach that told you after your first varsity game, guess you got to get better, they'd look at blaming us for whatever the final result is, instead of, oh, you know what, maybe I need to work on something with my kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Wiz.
Well, I mean, it's agonizing to try and think about what some of these people think, because the foolishness that they do in the end of games. You're down by 30 or 40 and you're calling timeouts with under a minute left, and it's not to substitute players in or anything of that nature. It's to actually run plays and things like that. How about you learn to just hang on to the ball, get the ball up the floor, things like that, instead of calling timeouts like that. And that's just one of the things that is irritated the shit out of me.
Well, we give you a hard time about, your scores and stuff like that. But like one thing I know that Mags and I definitely agree with what you do. You're a team that presses all the time. Like very rarely are you not either in some half court pressure or some full court pressure.
Right.
And it bothers me when a coach gets mad at you because you're still pressing or at least putting pressure in the fourth quarter with a 40-point lead. And I know a lot of coaches are going to go, well, that's just ridiculous. But when you do it, you've got your third graders on the floor. And why should you play a packed-in 2-3 zone for the last 4 minutes so that the other team can feel good about themselves?
Right.
Like you're trying to teach your kids, and I think that's what we all think, right? Like, let's teach our kids for 32 minutes. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So I think the first one that we had written down follows perfectly into this. Pressing in the fourth quarter when you're down 30, but with your starters when you're down. Go ahead, Meg.
That's one of my favorites. Obviously I think all three of us have had some pretty good teams over the years and had some pretty lopsided scores going into the fourth quarter. And, that's when we usually empty our bench and get some younger kids an opportunity to go in. And it's happened so many times over the years where, we sub all 5 kids off the floor and have some mixture of, kids that play JV mostly. And next thing you know, the starters for the other team are back at the scorer's table, and they sub in and come out in a full court press. And I wouldn't have an issue with it if they had pressed the whole game. And
or
that
any
was
part of the game.
Any part of the game. Now all of a sudden down 30, we're gonna full court press your second team. So what? You can lose by 20 instead of 30 something. And there was one coach I remember the first time that it happened at the end of the line. I said something to the effect of, "Don't ever do that again. Like the next time I won't be nice." And sure enough, that coach thought she could test. And the second time I put my starters back in the fourth quarter and we full court pressed her because we had been pressing, but we were nice enough and took it off. And I think they got the message when the playoff game was like 65-10 or something like that. So
that's just horrible.
Hey, just being honest,
No, I'm just thinking, why would a person push the envelope again? Generally myself, I don't think I'm shy, but I don't really seek to go out and talk to people as a whole. So I don't really want to talk to another coach about, strategy after the game, especially after I've just gotten shellacked or something of that nature. But, as a whole, when teams did that to me, I said, geez, you almost had us. I'd say something like that, in the fourth quarter. You almost had us. But, and am I being a wise ass? Yeah, I am, because, it's ridiculous especially when you put those younger kids in, because let's face it, as a whole, a lot of us have to play JV players on our varsity roster anyways. So a lot of our JV players get a lot of experience, but when you put in your bottom part of the bench and they are players who really have a difficult time in the full court part of it, it's even more of a kick in the teeth to those kids. And realistically, when you have a big lead, you're taking the foot off the gas pedal, but you want to give those younger kids that opportunity to get out there and be successful. And doing something like that is just, to me, is more of an insult to the kids than it is to me. So.
Yeah. And to follow that same logic, Wizard, it's, you're putting your kids in that aren't as talented. And if the other coach who is getting beat badly who's feeling the same anger towards us because we're up and we've pressed them for 4.5 minutes and we've done everything to win the basketball game, you ought to take the opportunity to either get your subs in or let your starters stay on the floor and work through some stuff against our JV squad.
Right.
But man, when they go to the press, I mean, we all know the same situation. I subbed all my starters back in with 4 minutes to go, and pressed them. And me, I don't press.
Right.
And I was like, no, we're going full court, man, hard as you can go. And it sucks when we do that, because then I'm taking my kids off the floor that deserve an opportunity to prove a point because I'm pissed. And
Right.
I think sometimes I wish I didn't do that. And, as I remember one coach always saying to me, man, our fourth quarter was fantastic. If we had played 3 quarters like that, we would have won. And I go,
Yeah.
Yeah, if the game had been an hour and 40 minutes longer, yeah, maybe you would have.
If we hadn't got off the bus tonight, we've had a chance. You had a chance to take us, but
right. Yeah, you were up 2-0 at the tip.
That's right. The closest the game was when the ball was jumped up at the beginning of the game. But
that moves us on to that same concept of when do you wave the white flag and who's responsible for that? Right? I mean, go ahead.
No, I was always taught that, the team that's losing, when they sub their starters out, that's them waving the white flag, and it's okay for you to sub your kids out. And obviously, if it's a 30-point game, maybe there's no need to wave the white flag. But when you're up 15, to 20, with like 4 minutes to go in the game, we're trying to get, kids in that haven't played yet or whatever. And I feel that it's almost been reversed now, where I have to take our starters out of the game for the other coach to take their kids out of the game instead of them waving the white flag first.
Yeah, same thing here. One of our biggest fourth quarter comebacks was a team that was beating us by 17 with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and we won the game. But the simple fact is that most of the time in that case, kids are kids, and are they going to battle through it? I don't know. You like to give them the opportunity, but you're down double digits in the 20s, and there's 3 minutes left. Yeah, I'm probably going to start thinking about getting my other players into the game, just to give them some time on the floor. But typically, I would always say, yeah, we're gonna get them in, get the starters out. I usually did it first. That's my frame of mind.
Yeah, I think about this rule in the, if you're playing the team that wins 20% of their games, they should just wave the white flag and we move on. Do you think we're ever going to wave the white flag against each other? I was up 30-something points on Mags in the fourth quarter, and they almost pulled that game out. Neither of us are waving a white flag in that game ever. Yeah. And I remember one game up at your place, you guys had a good lead on us, and the last 3 minutes of the game, we got it all the way back. And that's a different situation. You're talking about teams that are 80% winning the game. You know what I mean? Right. You're going to give your kids a chance to battle against the cream of the crop every time.
Right.
But when it's a 22-point game against a team that you've beaten 110 straight times, get your kids off the floor. We'll get our kids off the floor. Don't press us in the last 30, and let's move that one right on to the fouling in the last minute of it.
Yes, that's a good one.
You're up 15 points, and we've seen amazing comebacks. I think the record in college is like 9 points in 8 seconds or something like that, or 8 points in 9 seconds. But these are not college 3-point shooters playing for Duke, So what do you feel about the fouling when you're down 15 with a minute and a half to go?
I hated it, because, you're standing there and you always talk to the kids at practice, and you would say, listen, I can't say out on the floor, foul, you need to foul.
Right.
So the code word is got to have the ball. And they still a lot of times wouldn't get it, in the heat of the moment. So I just hated doing it. And I didn't want, especially somebody to get hurt, especially one of my own players, because I could see him breaking a finger, or doing something foolish where they committed a flagrant foul. So, I mean, like I said, I just didn't like doing it, but we obviously did it.
Yeah, no, I think the games can be long enough that just extends the agony, so to speak. And to Wizard's point, you don't want anybody to get hurt because of something, stupid like that. I love the example that you had listed was, down 15 with 8 seconds to go. Like you're going to pull out a miracle. It takes at least 2 seconds for the ball to go from your hand to the rim. So you do the math. You're not scoring 15 points in 8 seconds, anyways. And the other one is like when, now it's different. So when you guys were coaching, you still had the 1-and-1. And that sometimes made sense if it was like an 8-point game with 5 minutes to go, 4 minutes to go, and you
With
want
2 minutes to go.
2 minutes. Yeah,
Right.
you're putting kids on the line that you don't think can make a free throw. Well, now we shoot 2, so even the worst free throw shooters usually make 1 out of 2. So it's even harder now to make a comeback.
Yeah.
That brings us to our this one I think is going to get a debate here. The winning team shooting in the last few seconds of a game. So you're up 22. You got 9 seconds to go, and you've got the ball. Do you shoot that ball?
I mean, I'm up that big, and I've got my younger kids out on the floor. I want them to play, and I want them to have success. But 9 seconds left. If we get the ball in, and we're going the other direction, and we got 90 feet to go to the other basket,
That's
then
up and down your
we're going
court
to,
twice.
yeah, right, or
I was gonna say
38 feet, 38 feet.
Only the D2 teams have 90 feet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would say you slow dribble, and especially seeing what the other team does, but hold it, don't shoot. I typically know we didn't do that in the last 9 or 10 seconds.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense. Now, if let's say it's a 6-point game and we obviously still got our starters in there, and this happened one time with one of our kids, game's over, our kids are clapping it in, and all of a sudden I see this half court heave go up, and we're winning by whatever it was, 6 or 8 points. And I looked and I'm like, what the heck is just going on here? And I remember having the conversation, and it was about, getting closer to 1,000 points. And I'm like, wow, that's an individual goal that you might have, but definitely not something that we coach for. And I remember the opposing coach going through the line and goes, what the hell is she shooting the ball for? And I said, it's a great question. I'm going to find out. But and just in reverse, it's when you're dribbling out the clock, and you're just waiting for and I love it when the team comes up and double teams you and slapping at the ball, and they steal it and they go down and they try to score or whatever with 4 seconds left. Those are the teams that you don't want to tell your kids to stop shooting. You want them to keep scoring if they're going to play like that.
Absolutely.
That brings me to an AAU moment when we were up by 20, and same exact thing. And my girl's dribbling the ball up, and they all of a sudden run up in a press, and I scream at her, just give them the ball. And she bounce passes the ball to the kids so they can go in and take a layup, and the final score was 19 instead of 21. And you just go, nice job. Really nice job, coach. With that in mind, the game's 32 minutes long. I wish we just wouldn't even look at it. I mean, I've had a kid shoot that last second shot, and I just went, what are you doing? You're just showing up the other team.
Yeah.
But if we just played to the buzzer, like we played at 38 seconds or at a minute and 12. Just play it to the buzzer. You know, keep your pressure on, and then we wouldn't have this issue ever. And if the kid scores, the kid scores. You're still trying to run something.
Right.
And to the point of your third graders are in Wizard, let that third grader get a shot up.
Right.
So, I mean, I have a problem with it when the other team's conceded, right? Like they're all standing there with their hands next to their hips.
Yes.
Like they probably played defense the whole game. And then they, you know, and your kid jacks up a shot so that they can get to 926 with one game left, you know?
Yeah. Definitely. I think the other team dictates to the end of the game. If they're still out trying to trap or whatever, and even if you got younger kids in, okay, you want them to handle that pressure. And if you get a shot, you get a shot. But if they're standing back in a zone, like you said, Professor, with their hands down, like it's disrespectful to take a shot at that point.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
So that I know what's on our lists here. Believe it or not, guys, we actually have a list this time because otherwise the three of us, at least the Wizard, not at our advanced age, would never be able to remember the list. But
Nope.
I mean, he added one at the beginning without, the timeouts. That wasn't even on our list. The timeouts in the last minute of the game, down 30, drawing up plays.
You're right. But this is an unwritten rule that I think we all have a problem with. So I think this is one we're not going to agree with, and I don't know if it's necessarily on our list, but the 100-point.
Yeah, didn't make our list.
But I want to talk about that one because that's become an unwritten rule that I think is ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's ridiculous.
Like, this 96 points is fine, but 104 isn't?
Yeah.
Like,
99? 99 points is fine.
But here's the worst part about that. Now that if you do that, so let's not call it an unwritten rule. Let's call it essentially a written rule. Because if you score 100, you usually end up in Vermont with the VPA or in New Hampshire with the NHIAA getting a hold of you.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It doesn't, what doesn't make sense is, like, it's the flow of the game. If it's, I don't know, and this really doesn't happen on the girls' side. It's more the boys' side. But, you play games, and we'll use the Wizards gym as an example. You're going to get more possessions in that game just because of the size of the floor. And, I can remember some of our boys' teams, having 80, going into the fourth quarter. But it was like 80 to 62 or whatever. It wasn't, and yeah, I mean, that number, I don't understand it. I can't remember how many times my senior year our team scored 100. I want to say it was 4 times out of the 20 games. It never was even discussed. Now, partially because we didn't have social media back then, that people blew up this, misnomer that you can't score points. I've never had a team. Well, we probably all had teams that could score 100 points against teams that, weren't as competitive, but we didn't do it that way.
No.
But if we did, and we did it the right way with our subs in there, like, I love it when you're up 50 or whatever, and then you start in the fourth quarter, you don't tell your subs not to score, not to shoot, like not to. The other one that we got in here, and we'll just throw it into this one, is running the floor. Like, that's something all of our teams do. It's not, I've always said to our girls, it's not our job to make them get back and play defense. If we're a running team at the first minute of the game, we're a running team the last minute of the game, no matter who's on the floor. So
right, and that's the whole thing where so if you're playing a full court press and you're up big in the second half, your starters are out of the game, and you put your second string, third string, whatever, and if you're lucky enough to have a third string, into the game, you don't tell those kids, no, I don't want you to try and score, because that's what they're out on the floor. They're playing the game. So, but you pull off the press, you pull it back to half court. So if you play in a matchup man, you play it half court way. And if to me it's more insulting to the other team and more of an insult if you're standing this garbage of, putting one foot in the paint and that's how you play defense. You can't leave the paint. And, so if the players are out there and they get a steal, I want them going to the rim. I want them to try and get better every time they play the game. So, run the floor, get out and be active on defense and get at the rim.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, especially against Mags, playing summer ball, and because parents are insane, we would take the score off the clock, or we would always set it to tied with a minute to go so that we could play 4 overtimes if we wanted to.
Yeah.
Or scrimmages, whatever.
Scrimmages, yeah.
Yeah, people would get furious, and they're like, but we're up by 9, we're up by 9. You know what? Like, when you're that much better than the other team, and you're going to score 100, but you're going to do it with your subs, let them do it. Stop looking at the scoreboard. I know all 3 of us will agree with this. The 1-point losses have hurt a lot more than the 70-point losses.
Yeah.
And then the 20-point losses. You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Yeah, those weren't one possession games that, could have impacted the final score.
Right.
Yeah, those are the ones that we think about, and you turn the ball over 4 times in the fourth quarter and you lose by 1 and you're like, well, what could have happened on that possession?
Right. Which then moves us right on to playing starters in the fourth quarter. And you've got it in a playoff game. I'm going to say even in the last week of regular season, should you be playing your starters in the fourth quarter of a blowout?
Myself, it depends on if you're working on something, especially if you want to try and change something up for the next team that's you possibly could be playing. You want to work on it live game. I would not have a problem with it, but if you're going to just stick to what you do, I really wouldn't do it. Obviously, you work through the season and you have all sorts of injuries and things of that nature, kids getting taped, and, you want to get them iced as soon as possible. I can think of a game down in Farmington where I had a player that had rolled an ankle 2 practices prior, and, she was tougher than whale pecker, and she got out there and played the game. and the only thing I could think of, because we were winning, was get her out and get her some ice on it, because the last thing I wanted her to do was to roll that ankle again. So that was always my thought process.
Yeah, I think the question that you posed about the end of the regular season, I treat the last week of the regular season as a preparation for the playoffs. And, probably for the last, 6 to 8 years, we've had a really tough schedule to finish the season, which I absolutely love because it is hopefully getting you ready for a playoff game. But going back to, one of the playoff games that I mentioned, I think it was 65-10. And I remember some of the fans for the other team, after the game coming up saying, did you leave your starters in long enough? Well, first off, we weren't pressing. Second of all, at some point, those starters are going to need to play 4 quarters. So, right. That's what it is. And I thought we did it the right way. They were mad. They didn't play well. When you score 10 points in a game, you're probably not going to win anyways. So, be mad that we had our starters out there. But to Wizards' point, if we're working on things and trying to get ready for whether it's the next opponent, so be it. Right. Deal with it.
Yeah, that last week in those first round, second round playoff games, like you've got parents that are pissed at you because they've played their season, they've gone 4-14. You've played and you've gone 18-0. Your starters have played an average of 12 minutes a game because you're subbing so much because you're up by 90 most of the time. You've got to play your starters 30 minutes a game when it's getting down to the end, because we talked about, is winning easy? Yeah, it is. Is it easy in the playoffs? No. And part of that reason is because all of our starters have played 16, 20 minutes a game. And now we're going to have to play against each other for 31 minutes. Shut up. It's
Right.
playoff time. Sorry, you suck. Get better.
Yep.
By the way, we've gone forever on this, so we should wrap this up with the you guys had a good one. I'm trying to find that list. Oh, yeah. Scouting preseason games, especially with video.
Oh,
Better rep.
To me, if you're going scouting anywhere and you're videotaping, the teams that you're going and videotaping should be able to take you out and curb stomp you. Because to me, you pull a camera out in another gym just while you're watching because you're scouting, that nope, doesn't do it for me. I mean, and again, here I've driven from one end of the state to the other to watch a game twice, and I wouldn't even think of pulling a video camera out because I wouldn't want to be flogged and hung from the post.
curb stomped.
Yeah, or curb stomped. Yeah.
There's a couple things I'm going to say on this one. First off, like if you're at like a jamboree, okay, like you're probably watching another team that you might play. Like I think we would all do that. I don't think we're pulling our notebooks out, taking notes on the other team. Professor, you're going to remember this one of, a team that you played in summer league or that you played in the regular season would come early to watch our game and sit there with their notes and with their notebook and take notes on our summer game in preparation for a regular season game, that was going to happen, 5 months down the road or whatever. Now
I remember.
Yeah. I just think that, alumni games. I can remember, one of our boys' alumni games. It was one of the years that exchange student had come over, and obviously nobody had heard of this exchange student or whatever, and he was a really decent player. And people were coming to watch our alumni game to get their eyes on this kid, and it's like, what are we doing? Like that should really be
Give me a break.
Alumni, parents, just relax. And you want to scout. Now it's so much easier. You said, Wizard, you drove from literally one end of the state to the other. Don't have to do that anymore. Like, you just turn on your TV.
Right.
Or a coach, everybody's, even us now, like we're using the cameras in the gym, so you can send a video to another coach, but yeah, one of my favorites, and this is even not about preseason, and I don't think we put it in here, but when officials are coaches, and Professor, this would be you, and I know you didn't ever officiate any of my games, but you're officiating my game and you're coaching another team that we're going to play, and you're coaching, you're officiating the game after us, so the boys' game, and you come early to scout us, which I guess is whatever, you can do that. But then, one of the former refs, I'd shared this story with you guys before, sends me an email asking for the videotape of the fourth quarter because we'd made a comeback and won against the team that they were scouting. And I was like, nope, sorry, like delete, move on.
Right. You made money on the game and you got to scout me, and you might have done it with a video camera. It's wonderful. I think about this one, like the three of us have played each other in jamborees, and we pretty much, when one of you guys calls the play, I know exactly what it is, right? And I get a lot of crap from parents. Why are you guys playing them in the regular, in a preseason game, or why are you playing it? Well, because we just want to be able to compete against each other. But when these other people show up with a video camera in preseason, pretend that they're either videoing their team or, they're videoing our game just so that they can learn. Yeah, come on, man. Like, let it go.
Bush League.
Just get better. Just like I think I'm going to even say her name. I think old Robin Wozni. Just get better, Russ. Just get better. Yeah, you know how you do that? That 5-minute video I started with. Watch
Yeah.
that video, not the video of us playing each other.
Yeah. And I know we had this in there. I just want to say one other thing especially to active coaches now. Um, know your opponents. Know the other teams, especially when it comes to,
Stage who?
all state, what's that?
Stage who?
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's embarrassing. It should be embarrassing to you as a coach and to your kids if you go into a game and you have no idea who the best player on your opponent team is, and you allow them to drop 30 something. But the things that there's this stigma that North coaches don't vote for South players, South coaches don't vote for North players when it comes to all-state ballot. Damn it, these are kids. Like, if they earned the opportunity to get to be on an all-state team, like, don't have that mentality of like, oh, I can't vote for that kid because they're on the North, or I can't vote for that kid because they're on a South team and I only vote for North players. No, it's supposed to be the best players in the division. And coaches that don't vote, shame on you. Like, that's regardless of what your record is, whether you did it, have the decency to cast a ballot. And we say it every year. Still, you guys will remember these emails. You know what? At the time of voting, if you've got 4 wins, you're like 4-7 or 4-8, you probably don't have 4 all-state players to put on the ballot. If you do, I mean, I would say you're not coaching very well then.
You don't get coach of the year.
Well, it's amazing that you see, teams that, and I'm not picking on any specific school, they have 2 or 3 wins at the end of January when our ballots are due, and the ballot comes out and they got 3 all-state players. I'm like, how the hell do you only have 2 or 3 wins then?
And some of the shit that they write, for accolades for these players, and you're just like, my God, you're here. You are 10-3 when you put your ballot in, and you're myself struggling to have 3 players. Never mind 4. Some of the teams, 4 and 5 players, and you're like, who? The person should be fired immediately if they have that many all-state players.
Yeah.
I mean, that was always my thought, because you have players that aren't even averaging 10 points or even double digits in rebounds, and you don't even know these kids because of the fact that they're just not good. And you're gonna put a vote in for them. I don't know.
Yeah, this all comes down to, we've talked about it. I know how many wins I have because the newspapers keep track of it, but I don't talk about it. Neither do any of you guys. And it is not about our wins. It's not about how much we can get done. It's not about how much we should promote our kids that don't really deserve it. It's about recognizing the kids that actually deserve it. And if you don't pay enough attention to know who the best player is on your team, Wizard, or on your team, Mags, then you don't even deserve to be coaching. Like, this is about the kids.
Yeah.
And I hate all-star stuff. I hate it because it's important for these kids to be recognized, but it becomes this, this politic thing, and that's not what it should be. I know that the kid from Hinsdale was a damn good basketball player. You got to vote for her. I know that the kid for Sunapee was a damn good. We might not like her, but we're going to vote for her.
Yeah.
So, right. And I'm picking 2 teams that are always good from the South, not specific kids. But let's do what's right for the kids. It always comes down to the kids.
Yeah. No, it's our obligation. If we're going to take this profession seriously and do our part, we need to prepare our kids. We need to recognize others for the efforts that they put in. We probably all have had kids that could lead the division in scoring. But because we don't, and probably the Wizard, you did have kids that led the division in scoring, because Sage Who was on your team at times. But yeah, who said? But I think because our kids play, 16 minutes a game, half the season, they don't, and I don't advocate for having a division leading scorer. One of the things that it irks me, is when you see a kid, now on social media, they scored 45, and then you look at the score and it was like 80-14. I'm like, okay, why is that kid in the game scoring 45 points?
Right.
That's not.
Taking a bounce pass to the kid that's open.
Yeah, exactly. Like, stay out there. I don't care. They're like, create some continuity on the team, but you know what? You don't need to shoot the ball. Anyways, I know that took us off
Yeah, we get it. We're gonna lose all of our listeners.
we
We're
already
at
did.
45 minutes.
We did like 40 minutes ago.
We've got to move on. Yeah, that's a good point. We've got to move on. My GOAT debate is literally the GOAT debate. The Naval Academy, their mascot is Bill the Goat. And thinking in my mind that might be the greatest GOAT of all time. So our GOAT debate today is the greatest mascot of all time. Whether or not we think it's Bill the Goat, it's hard to say, but we're gonna rip through this. We're gonna do a quick greatest, and if you have one, worst mascot of all time. And in order to go in the right order where I usually end, I'm gonna let Mag start.
All right. Well, there was a couple of good ones out there that, and don't worry, I didn't pick the gorilla from the Phoenix Suns, even though that would have been a good pick. I'm going with the best as Benny the Bull from the Bulls. I remember, watching games in the 90s and the Jordan era, and his acrobatic, stunts or whatever. I think it's a pretty cool name. Benny the Bull is my favorite, and, or best all time, I guess the one I would draft if I was drafting mascots. And the worst one, is the Stanford Cardinal, the tree. Like, what is that? But, still a great school. They put out, exceptional, student athletes and go on to do great things other than sports. But the tree is their mascot. So that's my worst.
They're actually just a color. The cardinal isn't a bird. It's not
right. Yes.
a pope to be. It's a color.
Yeah. A pope to be.
Red tree. Great.
Yep.
I'm glad I didn't pick that one, but man, that was high on my list. Go ahead.
So myself, I just focused on the negative. I really don't give a shit about friggin' mascots at all. So I went through all the ones that I can't stand, and there was one that I remember, and don't ask me why I remember this. It actually, and I don't know what school it is, they actually have a mascot that is a geoduck. And
oh yeah,
yes.
Don't know about what that is, Mags. Look it up.
Yeah.
Anyways, can you get more phallic in nature? I don't know, but there is. That's what that school. So they get just a negative kick for that. But so I thought of other mascots and ones that annoy me. The Shockers. What the hell is that? But so then I thought of the Billikens, and I was like, what the hell is a Billiken? Well, a Billiken is basically a very pale blue devil. So knowing that the Blue Devils annoy me, they get the worst mascot on the face of the planet, the Blue Devils.
Oh man, and I was giving Mags a hard time about the dolphins. You swim with the dolphins, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do as a dolphin? Like, that's the worst thing coming at you is a dolphin.
Yeah. Yep. Keep talking.
My least favorite, because I coached there, if they had just been 2 miles down the road, they would have been like the bottom dwellers. Instead, they were the hilltoppers. What is it? 2 miles down the road.
Jack and Jill.
Yeah, unbelievable. And then my favorite, I've got two, but I love the Georgetown Hoyas. And
Yeah.
a Hoya is not a flower. It's not a bulldog. It's actually Latin for what? And then their motto used to be, what rocks? Hoya Saxa, because they used to be called the Stone Walls. So I actually love that. They're the Hoyas that turned into a bulldog, but really their mascot is what?
Yeah.
And my other favorite one is RISD. You talk about the Geoducks. Their basketball team is the Nads. So that when you're in the crowd, you can go Nads, go Nads. So there are so many good ones out there. Max told us that there is actually a mascot hall of fame.
Yeah.
It still comes. I've listed all of those. Really, the best one is Bill the Goat. He's the goat of the goats.
Well, I understand why you like what do you call them? The stone layers or
the stone walls.
Stone wall. Yeah, you probably can relate to those.
I can.
You know,
build a couple
you build a few in your time.
But from here on out, whenever we don't know what, we're just going to say Hoya.
Hoya, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right.
We're going to let Wizard wrap this thing up.
Yeah, Wizard, you got to go first with your words of wisdom, and hopefully the listeners looked up your words of wisdom from last week.
Well, I thought it didn't work. I thought you said it got cut off.
No. I got cut off last week. You know, so it's all good. I should be cut off anyways, but.
Well, shit. Okay. Well.
And just for our listeners, if you think geoduck is a duck, then you're going to need to do some research.
Yeah, you better look it up. There's a reason I said phallic in nature. Anyway.
I don't know if the Wizard even really has to sign off today because he has left you guys with 3 other beautiful gems along the way too. But go ahead.
I mean, he's deep in thought here to try to come up with one. So.
No, I'm not. It's not deep in thought. It's just the simple fact of, I thought it wasn't working, so I hadn't really focused on any one thing, and my mind is going 1,000 miles an hour right now, trying to remember the thing that I was going to say. But being elderly in nature. Again, I would say and pose. I had an English teacher when I graduated, who's passed on a while ago, and when he signed my yearbook, the only thing he put in my yearbook was try transcendentalism. And I guess what I would say to people is, it's nice to live where I live because I live where people vacation. I don't take it for granted as much as some, but it's hard to take in all of the things that you see on a day-to-day basis and really appreciate them. So I'm going to pose the thing that my mother always said and some other very wise people. Take the time to stop and smell the roses. Look around you. Take it in. Unless you live in the city, which then I would say get the hell out of there. But try and see nature for what it is. Enjoy the colors of fall, all of those things. And for lack of a better word, just get out and do something, you lazy bastard.
I love that the Wizard is as old as he is, and just because of his seniority, we now have to give him a duologue. We were at a monologue, but now the Wizard's got a duologue. This is fantastic.
I mean, our listeners can learn a lot from the Wizard if they just listen.
Yeah.
If they just listen,
Yep, follow the yellow brick road.
That's a movie, Mags.
Oh, really? Didn't know.
Yeah.
Didn't know. All right.
This was
Well,
terrible as usual. We covered a lot of stuff, though.
we did. Hopefully our listeners liked some of those unwritten rules, and there was more that we had as we didn't get to, and maybe we'll bring a couple of those up in future podcasts. But for our listeners, maybe not. That's right. Have them go ahead and leave your comments on the podcast of things that you'd like us to talk about. Our sponsors are still very minimal, 0 to be exact. So and if you really enjoy this podcast and you want to throw a bone the professor's way, go ahead. We'll take whatever to keep it running. So, as usual, signing off for this week's episode. Thanks for listening to this long podcast, our longest one yet. And if you got this far, congratulations.